Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Vampire the Masquerade 5th Edition Chronicle, Cradle of Liberty. This is Episode 6, Sword and Mirror. So let's meet our vampires, starting with Avery.
Hello, everybody. Hi, it's me, Avery, at Avery DuBois on all the social media platforms. I style myself as something of an internet personality, and this time zone I will be playing the apparently Russian dog of the Camarilla, Vern Rasmussen, or Ivan Vasilyevich Marisov.
Very good. I'm glad you remembered all that. Laura?
Hi, hello, good evening, folks. You can call me Laura or Tutu or Laura Tutu. I'm all over the internet, usually some iteration of _Laura Tutu. And tonight I am playing the Camarilla Princess, Ventru, Bryony Perkins.
Might be closer to being an actual princess than we realize. Luna.
Heyo.
Hello, hi, I'm Luna, or Druid by Night. You can find me at Druid by Night on all the social medias, including on Twitch, where I stream. But for this time zone, I will be playing the Prodigy, Celeste Ortega.
Exactly. Ramos.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gilbert Ramos, aka Ramos the Nomad on all the social media. I lost my introduction, but that's okay. Tonight, I will be playing the world's best father, Ezra Contreras.
Thank you. Syrinx?
Let's take a second to really let that sink in.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Syrinx, and tonight I have the pleasure of playing Azaria Durand, the world's best stepmother.
Yep. I'll unpack that later. We don't have time to unpack all that. Vin.
Oh my gosh, hi. I'm Vin at VinVoxVA on all the socials except Blue Sky, that is VinVox.com. Tonight I'll be playing Marius Weiss, the clan whipped and whipped. Who knows? Don't worry about it.
And last but not least, Zach.
Hi folks, I'm Zach Rivaldo, also known as Sneakernet or Sneakernet Music around the internet. Tonight, once again, I return as the voice of the people, wearing the crown even though he's not the king, Arthur Zebulon.
But you are a philosopher king, and that's what's most important. As always, this is a Vampire the Masquerade 5th Edition actual play. We've gone over our safety and consent, but please check in with yourselves as your well-being is important to all of us who are playing. All the content warnings for this game will be down in the description below. So if everyone is ready, let's go back to Boston. We're going to a party, guys. Last night, the coterie went to the Hecata family dinner as honored guests and learned the purpose of that invitation to secure a promise that moves would be made to remove Prince Iverson from power and install someone else more suited to working with the Hecata and their control of the circulatory system. They then learned from the wraith of Sarah Milton that she had brought Richard's torpid body to a church in Burlington called Church of the Open Bible, where the coterie met Pastor John Berquist, a disabled man with a palpable Christian zeal, who was holding Richard captive in the bowels of his church, referring to him as only the asset, and that he needed him for personal reasons. He offered to exchange him for the buried Knights of the Round Table or for Junebug, who Marius attempted to offer their services to heal the ill mortals of the church in exchange for Richard. However, Pastor John would only accept if Junebug was handed over fully, not just her services, which Marius refused. Vern had a particularly rough night after leaving the church. On the way back to Boston, Celeste dominated his mind and painfully forced all the broken pieces back into place. And now Vern knows who he was, but perhaps still needs to figure out who he is. But tonight, you all have a masquerade ball to attend, hosted by the Semitsi primogen Azaria Durand, inside her fencing studio, House of Durand, which is thrown in the spirit of new alliances and beginnings for Boston, which is why the Tremere Chantries of Hartford and Salem will also be in attendance. We open our scene tonight with you, Ezra. In the upper private chambers of the fencing studio, you wait in Azaria's sitting room for her to emerge dressed and ready to attend her first Elysium, at least the first one that she's thrown as a primogen. Will you tell us what Ezra is wearing tonight?
Ezra largely looks very much the same. I think he's thrown on a nicer coat. There's a dress shirt underneath it, but for the most part, largely the same. He's taken care to straighten his beard, straighten the mustache a bit. But the most noticeable features is he's allowed Azaria to fleshcraft his face a bit. There are deep lines sort of gouged down his face, and looks like pools of shadow are kind of like bleeding. And he's taken a bit of just black powder and sort of smeared it across his face to symbolize the oblivion.
Would you make me your rouse check for tonight?
Absolutely.
Even the primogen have to make rouse checks? That's not fair.
There's got to be some sort of balance.
Yeah. Not much.
Success.
All right. So, don't get any hungry. You're still sitting at 1 hunger for this evening. And as you're sitting there waiting for Azaria to emerge, you hear a gentle knock at the door. And you assume it's one of these many Schlachta, these monstrous servitors that Azaria has created for this event, or perhaps even one of your many ghouls. So as you rise to answer the door, it appears to be neither of those things. Instead, you are met with a tall, broad-shouldered man in a black suit with a golden mask over his face. Beside him is a woman in a dirty white blouse, beige suspenders, and navy slacks with a dark cloth bag over her head. And as soon as he speaks, you recognize his voice. And he says, "You ordered a special delivery, eh, old man?"
I did.
And the shadows around him sort of move upwards up his body, and you hear this snap noise, and the snaps of the what's holding the mask in place fall away. He brings his hand up to remove it. Of course, you see the face of your sire, Edmund Fitzhenry, or better known as Tally or the Hound. He's got white hair, and that dark spiral still engraved into his forehead that he always has to rub sort of soot, or just like yourself, rub some sort of smudge onto it, ash, to make it more pronounced. He smiles rather devilishly, and he says, "How you getting on, lad?"
Quite well, Tally. Or do you prefer Edmund these nights?
To be honest, you know I prefer the Hound.
Makes for poor communication. But c'est la vie.
They underestimate you when they think that you are nothing more than a dog.
A lesson I took to heart.
He takes the woman who is murmuring to herself and sort of shoves her in your arms. You go. You, give the last to your lady, and we'll talk later.
I look forward to it, sir.
So do I. I came all the way from Chicago to see your progress.
I think you'll be quite pleased.
That's a tall order, lad. A tall order. And you watch him sort of slip into the shadow of the wall and become like something out of a silent movie. A walking, stalking figure of shadow.
I think Ezra just clenches his fist, sort of reliving his own upbringing as Kindred.
What do you do with the woman? Now, you know that this is a surprise for Azaria. Azaria doesn't know this is coming, but your connections with Tally and the Camarilla in Chicago informed you that one of her grandchilder was in the city.
I will force her to meet my eyes.
She has a bag over her head. Do you remove it?
Yes.
You remove it. She's a woman in her 40s. She has auburn hair and a gag over her mouth.
It is a good evening for you. Do you know who I am?
Do you remove the gag?
No, I'll just wait for her to nod or shake her head.
She shakes her head.
Good. It's better this way. You'll see. I need you to listen to me very carefully. I'm going to remove the gag. I'm going to remove your bindings. And you're going to stay where you are. Make no movement. Make no sound. Until I say. I'll use mesmerize.
Okay. Make me a rouse check. Make me charisma and dominate. Stella's intelligence and
Success.
resolve is pretty high. But she's
Success on the rouse check.
Wow. I rolled a bestial. I rolled no six. That was enough dice to definitely do something. Holy cow.
6 successes on a crit. I missed SPC land so much.
Stella rolled a bestial, so she will do exactly what you say.
And I will undo her bindings, as I said. And I will sort of position her to be standing just behind me, my back to her, a show of confidence. And I will continue to wait for my beloved.
As you wait for your beloved, Azaria, you exit out of your dressing room into your sitting room, up here in the private chambers, and you see that your beloved, your paramour, has brought you a gift. And of course, you know Stella.
You look ravishing tonight, darling.
Interesting show. How did you know?
I thought it on. You know I have my connections, my love. I thought it only fitting for tonight's event. I know how much you find this distasteful, so I thought I would sweeten the poison.
Or the ball that I'm throwing you to make your moves?
The ball that you're throwing yourself. You must remember that these powers that you have, they will only get you so far in this city. It's about who you know, who you speak with, the influence you wield. And tonight you will wield much of it.
Decades and yet you still can't believe that there is someone who does not care about having influences. But that's alright.
I only seek to make your life easier.
That's why we started this whole thing. Stella.
Stella cannot speak until Ezra releases her.
She'll look at Ezra.
You may speak freely.
Why the fuck? Where the fuck am I?
Calm down. I don't know who took you, but it's good that you're with me.
Anthony's gonna come here, he's gonna find me, he's gonna fucking kill you.
Why would he? And why would you be scared about being with me?
He told me all... Yeah, when you lied to me, he told me all about you and what you do.
When did I ever lie to you, Stella?
I think everything you've ever said to me was a lie. So if you're gonna do it, just do it now. Do it here.
That's such an easy answer to give when you don't actually have truth to share. Everything you do is a lie. But sure, I was going to make this pleasant for you. And actually, you make it tempting for me to wait until Anthony comes here. I haven't had my fill in a long time.
His boyfriend is a hunter. If you hurt him, he will not stop.
2 for the price of 1. It only seems like a benefit. Perhaps you don't understand that.
No, I don't understand monsters like you.
And yet you share my blood. So what does that make you, Stella? A saint? A monster? Or a gray area in between?
Whatever it is makes me better than you. So just fucking do it.
Oh, I'll make you better, Stella. That's my whole intention. You can be so much better than you are right now with just a little help. And now, you will crawl into that closet and not come out until I tell you otherwise. And I'll use Dominate.
Sure. Rouse check. And your evening rouse check for me, please. So
Yes, sir.
300.
Yes, sir.
Intelligence and resolve.
Yeah.
Let's see if I roll another bestial. No, I rolled another bestial. One success and a bestial, which is obviously going to be a bestial, because I imagine you're going to roll more than one success.
9 successes. I do get hungry.
Yeah. And she does. She goes. You didn't tell her to be quiet, though. She does. She goes into the into the closet, and she says, I really hope that you died in Myrtle Beach." And she closes the closet behind her.
Turn back to Ezra. I acknowledge this gift for what it is. I'm looking forward to having one more servant around that's more useful than they were before.
Are you satisfied?
I'll be satisfied after tonight when I've seen another grandchilder of mine here. But talking about useful, she takes steps closer until they are within a breath's reach of each other. That move you pulled, ma chérie. You will not be feeding from me again. Because she leans in to his ear. You're much more useful to me the way you are. I don't need a compliant dog. So, I don't know what the move was.
You think after all these decades that I cannot anticipate your needs, my love? You haven't been paying attention.
And it is at that moment, Celeste, you have arrived early to the party because Ezra commanded you to do so. And with you is Gabriel, who's sort of been your new handler now that your siblings are in Bogota. And he's walking with you. He hasn't said much, but he does knock on the door for you. And both of you hear this. And I need to know who answers the door.
It's my door, it's my room, I'll go answer. So
when you open the door, I would like for you to describe to Celeste what she sees, please.
With pleasure. Azaria does not look remotely the same as she usually does. She has completely flesh-crafted her own body and face for the occasion. There are bone structures in her face, lines across it that are pointed and sticking out of the flesh in a very fine and sculptured way, though. There is no messiness about it. Her face and neck has bony parts going down into her collarbones and even lower down. Her hair is completely white as well, kind of almost at the back of the neck, flowing into the flesh and the bones there. She is wearing a long kind of drapey white dress with, at the end, her own feet have protrusions sticking out to look like heels, but they are actually her own body formed that way. She opens the door.
And Celeste, what does Azaria see?
Celeste is wearing a black dress that is a mixture of fine material, lace, and satin. With lace gloves and a feathered mask. The dress itself reaches about her knees, and she's wearing lace stockings underneath with pointed boots that clack against the floor when she walks. And she is almost taken aback to see Azaria, especially like this. But she steels herself and says, "Azaria, good evening."
I have two questions. Are you wearing, or do you have Olvito with you?
Yes.
Okay. Are you wearing that necklace?
Yes.
Azaria, are you wearing the necklace we discussed?
It's hooped around a golden belt around her waist.
It's around your waist. Wonderful. Could you make me your
Yes.
nightly rouse check, please, Celeste?
Yes. I am okay.
Okay. Gabriel, the man with Celeste, you know this to be one of Ezra's schools, bows his head deeply. He's got sandy blonde hair and he looks very European. And he just immediately just bows and walks over to Ezra as he obviously has some sort of nightly report to give to Ezra. So the three of you and Gabriel won't speak until Ezra acknowledges him. Have a moment to discuss anything.
The moment she opens the door and sees Celeste who greets her, she will smile. Celeste, you came early. What a pleasant surprise.
I was asked to.
I can imagine he wants to talk to you about lots of things and in preparation for this party. She looks you up and down. At some point tonight, you should really tell me how stuff has been going for you out there. I imagine as a new kindred, it's always a lot to be thrown into the hounds like that. Although I'm sure you can manage it. That's not the question here. It's more, what have you been doing?
Yes, there is much to discuss in regards to that, though I do wonder why I was summoned here so early.
Let's find out together. And, oh, she turns a little. Wait. She reaches out with her spindly hands towards your face. She fixes your mask that was slightly askew. Your mask was slightly askew. I fixed it.
Oh. Thank you.
Please, let's go inside.
She'll nod and come follow after.
No, as she walks inside with Celeste.
Sire, good evening.
Miss Ortega. Punctual as always.
Of course. What else would I be?
Well, I've heard a great many things about what you might be in this city. But I am curious of what the truth of it is.
You're asking for a full report?
Indeed.
Well, we've been searching for the Malkavian Primogen, Richard Dunham. Still working on that, on recovering him. Dealt with the Anarchs, though of course I wasn't there for the climax of that, and she looks a little pointed. Though I heard that my coterie made strides in dealing with that situation. No doubt I would have been an asset to them, but again, I wasn't there.
An asset to them.
Useful, helpful, would have made things easier.
Is this what you aspire to be, is useful?
Is that not what you want me to be?
I want you to reflect on this question, Miss Ortega. If all you aspire to be is useful, you are useful as a meal. Blood can be reclaimed. There are many things in this house that are useful. The schlachta, the floorboards, the paint. I would hope your aspirations are far beyond being useful, Miss Ortega.
Oh, they are.
And you're being a bit harsh, because you know her aspirations are greater than that, otherwise you wouldn't have embraced her, now would you have, my dear?
I have yet to see evidence of this, but I look forward to being proven wrong. It's so very few times it happens.
Come. Don't you?
Let's walk and talk, shall we?
Of course.
We have something to show you.
Oh,
Do you want Gabriel to go with you or not?
Yes, I will kind of give him a side glance. Like, come, Gabriel.
Well, he'll walk lockstep behind you. You lead her down the hallway, as this is the private area on the second floor of the House of Duran. And you lead her up a set of stairs in the back that leads to sort of what's called an attic space. And you reach a door that is closed.
As much as your sire likes to give you a hard time, he did insist on building this room for you here, should you ever need it.
I thought I was to strike out on my own and find my own haven.
Yes, and you never know when your children have to flock back to you.
Zarya, do you open the door?
Yeah, I do.
When Azaria opens the door, the room that greets you, the only thing that you can think of is it looks like someone went to the local Hot Topic and stole everything and threw it up in this room. It is filled with posters of what you might call emo bands, a lot of black lights, t-shirts of bands that you don't know, a large amount of stuffed animals that look both grotesque but also cute at the same time. And the bed is small, like for someone who might be a teenager.
I think she takes it in, just is tries to, doesn't want to just outright say what the fuck is this, but is also like,
Can you roll me wits and insight?
yes. I can absolutely do that. Or successes.
This room isn't for you, Celeste. Nothing in this room reflects anything about you. Not a thing. Ezra knows you, has known you intimately for as long as you've been alive. He knows what you like, he knows what your tastes are. There's not even a birdcage here for Olvido. This isn't for you. Who is it for? You have no idea.
I must say I appreciate the sentiment, but is this truly for me?
I think you can answer that for yourself, Miss Ortega.
Thought I'd like to hear it from you.
Well, he made it clear to me that it was for you at least. A home when you need one.
Should you need to come running back here, this is, at least in some way, where you would reside.
She bites back a dark chuckle. Thank you. I will keep that in mind, but I will do my best for it not to come to that.
I've heard you've done your best. You've refused your, let's call it inheritance, assistance that I have offered. He'll glance over at Gabriel.
And Gabriel, much like an automaton, starts reciting, she accepted blood from me once. She accepted rides from me. But when I offered her assistance in any other way, she refused.
Look at Celeste. Even though he could have been useful.
Yes, well, I haven't had the need. Clearly, I've been useful on my own.
I have made myself entirely available to her. She never attempted to ghoul me with her own blood. She never attempted to beat me for information about you. Nothing. Nothing at all.
I see. I must commend you for this, Miss Ortega. But many people would shirk a useful tool.
Azaria rolls her eyes and reaches out with both hands to take Ezra's face for a second and says, "Stop calling her Miss Ortega. She's your child." And she turns to look at Celeste and she said, "He's been in a mood tonight. I don't know why. It's not on you, sweetie."
I see. Well, I look forward to the festivities of tonight.
Before we go down, you can wear your own mask, that's fine. But would you want me to flashcraft you?
Oh, that's quite alright. I spend a great deal of time trying to perfect my look for this evening.
We couldn't tell.
I can tell. Let's go downstairs then.
Woo! All right. As the three of you head downstairs, Gabriel will leave for the evening, as you have enough servitors here and enough NPCs for Howdy to play. We're going to move over to Marius. You are also here early, as your sire instructed you to be here early. So Marius, please tell me what you are wearing.
I would call it a step down from the Hikata dinner. Something straightforward, maybe a little bit versatile. You don't know what you might need for the night. Kind of a Rococo-esque sleeves and gloves, black with stain, and just casual for the rest. I should perhaps have my mask in place. That is poor role play of me, but they are about in scanning the area, making sure things are secure for their guests.
Sure. No one's really getting here yet. The guests are just going to start arriving shortly. Dijon is not happy, which we're very shocked about that, right? Could you make me your nightly roster as well, please?
Okay, big money, no whammies. Okay.
Good. Still at 1 hunger. I have a very important question to ask before we talk about why Dijon's mad. I'm like shocked. Did you tell Lasher about the party or not? Did you give him the invitation or not?
I did.
Okay. He did not come with you, but he will be here then. So Dijon is mad because the prince will not be in attendance. And you were here before him, and you're sort of not in the main ballroom of where the festivities are going to take place. It's sort of a private area that Azaria offered him. And it's sort of like the conference room where this eventual talks will take place. So you haven't seen exactly what the ballroom is going to look like yet. But he's mad because the prince is not attending. And he's sort of storming back and forth up and down the room. He's like, can you believe it? The prince is so up her own ass that she doesn't think that this is important. She is so focused on getting Richard Dunham back that she doesn't even care that we could rebuild the circulatory system. We don't need that Malkavian prick.
Sir, this is very... I understand that it's not great. It's slightly overwhelming, but if we can only focus on tonight, I would really appreciate it.
And he sort of, as he's pacing back and forth, his head sort of snaps to look at you. Yes, prepared for tonight. Exactly. Tell me, Whip. We have known that these talks were coming. What have you learned about the leaders of the Hartford and the Salem Chantries? And if you would make me wits in politics or intelligence in politics, whichever's higher for you, I will see what you have learned. Because you've been very busy.
Yeah, I'm very busy.
Okay, that is 4 successes.
4 successes, yes. So you know that the leader of the Hartford Chantry, who is Camarilla aligned, is Deneb Osborne. You know that he is a broodmate of your sire, Dijon. You know that he is very amenable to working with the Ivory Tower. There's no real issue there. His real issue is that he doesn't think that Boston is worth it. He has a very large chantry in Hartford, Connecticut, and he really doesn't think that it's worth sending any of his acolytes over to help rebuild the chantry in Boston. In his mind, that the chantry of New England should absolutely be his chantry in Hartford, and why Boston? I mean, look what happened. Why Boston? That's very much his attitude about it. The other regent from Salem, Massachusetts, is Madeline Coventry. At one time, her chantry was known as the Sisters of Salem, but it's now long ago opened to people of all genders and creeds. And she's odd, to say the least. She's old. She's odd. She is very anarch. In fact, based on your research, you are fairly certain that she broke away from the Camarilla of Boston in 1795. That's not me, that's from Dark Colony. She declared herself an anarch right at the end of the 18th century. And for some reason, Quentin was never able to bring her back into the fold or kill her. So she's really going to be the very difficult person to convince that the Boston Chantry should be rebuilt, because she doesn't think so. Because it's Camarilla.
And of course, just going to relay that in a very stately way, almost bored, given that everything else he currently has to deal with. Perhaps we could make an angle for the chantries themselves. Make the ants leave the nest, or bees, whatever insects you want to make for this analogy.
Well, I certainly hope that you have made nice with the coterie I told you to form. Deneb hates me. Our mutual sire, Marie Laveau, always favored him over me, and he's never let me forget it. However, Madeline is the issue. I certainly hope that that Bruja radio DJ has some actual pull behind his words.
Of course, sir.
This is important, Whip. When I become High Regent of the New England Chantry, the Primogen Seat is open for you. This is all of our plans laid bare, come to fruition. We cannot let them leave without an agreement.
Yes, sir.
I can't believe the prince isn't attending, and he starts yelling again, pacing back and forth in the conference room.
And I'll let him have it. I'm gonna go back out to see the ballroom.
Mm-hmm. So, Arthur, Briony, and Vern. You show up, you roll up to the House of Durand all together. You know that half of your coterie had to show up early for reasons. So I'd like to start. Let's start with Arthur. What are you wearing?
In proper fashion, the same as for the dinner. You look at Arthur, and for the most part, he's wearing the same thing that he normally does, which is a white button-up shirt and a vest and a tie. It's a different color tie. This tie matches the mask in browns and golds. He decided to go a little bit on the nose and pedantic with his choices, such as the mask having a bright sun dead center of the forehead and showing up wearing a crown. Understatement, you know.
We don't know her.
But beyond that, it's nowhere near as extravagant as his compatriots are.
Could I get your nightly rouse check, please?
Yes, you can, and I can go up 1 hunger.
Okay, so you're at 2 hunger this evening. Briony, what are you wearing?
What am I wearing? Briony is a vision in white. White and silver, and she actually went to the bank to get the heirloom necklace that she got from Beryl at one point. So she has quite literally a collar of diamonds around her neck that matches the silver, white, and Swarovski mask that she carries on a stick. Because God forbid she put anything on her face that could smudge her perfect makeup. The dress is floor length, off the shoulder, white, and actually quite simple. Just perfect, flawless satin with a couple of those lovely bits of darting around the bodice for structure. The heels are crystal and white, and she has her signature red lip.
So, a literal princess. Could I get your nightly rouse check, please, Briony? Certainly. That's how Briony talks now.
I'm gonna go full Harley Quinn. That is a
Mr.
rousing
J.
success.
Rousing
Mr.
success.
J.
And lastly, Vern. What are you wearing?
Yeah, Vern is in the exact same outfit he was in at the Hakata dinner minus the jacket. He's unbuttoned so that his Ankh necklace is showing. And he has painted his face with what looks to be an actual conglomerate of like flour and motor oil. It has that smell of a janked out, rusted up car, and he lives in that.
Could I get your nightly rouse check, please?
You surely may. That is a rousing failure.
So you are also at 2 hunger. And you all had a guest in the white Range Rover that Saris gave you the other night. You had Lasher in the car with you, as Lasher was also invited to this party. And Lasher, you know, is one of the partners of Marius and is also an Anarch. He's also Clan Samitsi. And he's wearing a fur-lined coat with a floral button-up and a gold chain, no tie, and he has very long blonde hair that's hanging well down his back. And he steps out of the car and he says, "So, my first Camarilla party, gonna be good time, yeah?"
Gonna be something.
Yeah, it certainly has the potential for you to, I don't know, maybe get dragged off to some shadowy corner and we never see you again.
Hey, in the car you were speaking with a different accent. What are you, some sort of chameleon? Chameleon, that right word?
Yeah, you gotta play the cards you dealt.
We all took a vote. We didn't like it.
You know, if you really want, I can change your vocal cords into whatever you want to sound like.
Rain check, but that is a great idea. But right now, this is who I need to be. And this is who they need to see, because this is the me that doesn't make them uncomfortable.
I see.
2 layers of a masquerade. Speaking of masquerade, Lasher, you do know that masks are typically needed for a masquerade, yes?
Yes, of course. Yes. And he sort of turns around and starts rubbing his hands all over his face. Is there anything you'd like to discuss while he does that right here on the fucking street? You may do that now.
Is there anyone? Are there people around right now?
Sure are.
Lasher.
I'm going to step to the other side of Lasher, like where he's rubbing his face.
Something that Marius has come to realize, that when the muse strikes Lasher, you can't communicate with him.
Right. So I'm just body blocking him from the other side as I talk over him to Brianna and Vern.
I'm too short. I can't help.
So, about being dragged off to a shadowy corner, are we expecting more than the usual hostility from our hosts?
I always expect more than the usual hostilities from our hosts.
It is a Camarilla party. There's going to be just sort of baseline hostility no matter what.
Well, like I said, the usual hostility.
Everywhere I've gone with this coterie, there's been an unexpected level of hostility from our host. So, at this point, until we get clear of whatever the fuck's going on, I'm going to anticipate that wherever we go, there's going to be somebody who's got something to do or something to fucking say, and anything could pop off at a moment's notice.
I suppose it is better to be safe than sorry.
And, we're only a few years out from the last Elysium getting fucking bombed, so...
I'll repeat the same thing that I said at our most recent gathering, which I know that you were otherwise occupied. You have to have some level of hope, because otherwise, what are we doing here? Are you done yet?
And Lasher turns around and he's pulled the bones up out of his clavicle and sort of adjusted them to his face, pulled some bones out of his jawline, and he's basically made himself to look like a sun to go with the floral shirt. You like? It's good. I like it.
It's good.
Surprisingly, yes.
It's good.
Lasher, that's rather spectacular.
Yes. Thank you.
You stay close to me while we are here.
You can
It's
have
good.
to pick one.
No, I like when he changes because it's like a surprise. You never know what it is going to be.
Pay attention. He is good. You stay close to me. I make sure they do not,
I can't, you
grab
know, I can't promise that. If I see something that catches my attention, I'm going to see it. So that's, just the way that I am.
Lasher.
I could
Marius would be
make
very
you
upset.
a diamond. You are full of diamonds. I could make it so that your face is a diamond if you'd like.
It already is. Is good.
Oh, he's a romantic. I like. Can we go now?
Can you make yourself a leash that Vern can hold on to it? It'd be a fun role reversal.
I could, but I'm not going to. No one can tame me. Except for Mari. Mari tries. Mari tries.
You could try taming yourself. Impressive feat. Would be good.
Okay, go back to the other one, and he goes to head in.
I told you we voted.
Hey, I don't need any more of a cue than that. Let's fucking get this on.
Well then.
And Vern will just lean into Brienne really quick. You look great with those European.
What does that mean?
Sweetheart, beloved, things of this nature. That's what I called someone that a long time ago. You remind me of Masha. She was strong, outspoken, powerful. Even though we both came from serfdom, she was always meant for greater things. Is good.
It's good.
Vern will offer his arm to Brienne. I would also like to take a minute of your time for a dance later, if that would be okay.
Nods.
I'll just make sure I won't get any paw prints on your dress. I'll give her a wink.
She tries not to smile at that. She can't help it. And she takes Vern's arm.
So, as you all head in, and we'll also include Marius heading into the ballroom, and Ezra and Azaria heading down, Celeste heading down, so everyone can be here. People are starting to come in as well behind you as Brienne, Arthur, and Vern enter in, and Lasher has already gone in. So, what you see inside the studio. Everything has been stripped and polished to a mirror shine, and the chandeliers that are hanging overhead are wrought from interlaced rapiers, as this is a fencing studio, as I mentioned. But what's really eye-catching are the grotesque servants that are dotted around the room. Positioned right near where you all enter in are unnaturally elongated humanoids, let's call them. Their limbs are stretched and thin, their fingers are reshaped into delicate knife-edge blades. Their faces are masked with polished iron, but their mouths remain exposed, stitched into slight eternal smiles. You're not entirely sure what their purpose is, but for some reason you think of a greeter at a big box store. Other attendants are moving more slowly across the room, wrapped in tight ivory silk that blends into pale, almost translucent skin. Their faces are blank, utterly smooth, with no eyes and no nose, only a mouth, round and blood red, perfectly formed to deliver sips of vitae to waiting kindred. Long, spidery arms are extended from their shoulders, each holding a chalice carved from bone. They have multiple arms. And when they pour from their mouth hole, the blood streams in thin, precise arcs, never wasted. Standing at key points of the room near the doors are creatures that could only be described as sentinels. They have the imposing build of armored knights, yet their armor is flesh, hardened and segmented to appear like blackened steel. Their faces are split down the middle. One side is stark, the other is raw, exposed muscle and glistening teeth. They all hold great swords fused into their forearms. Lastly, in a raised alcove separated by a thin veil of lace are a quartet of flesh-crafted musicians. Their torsos are bound to their instruments: violin, cello, viola, bass, twisted tendons, and exposed nerves strung alongside the catgut strings. Their heads sway as they play, eyes closed, and the music playing in here is hauntingly beautiful and very melancholic. As you enter in, you see many kindred here that you do not know, and you have to assume that they have been invited by the Primogen from other cities in order to perhaps attract more kindred here. However, you do see the Ventru Primogen Shufang, the Minister Joey Patrizia, who recently joined the Camarilla, the Nosferatu Primogen Caius, the Toreador Herald April Bosley, and the former emissary M.M. Lewis. That is all who you can see here in this moment. I will allow the coterie to meet up with each other as they find each other on the dance floor amidst these monsters. True creatures of monstrous fashion walk amongst you, offering you blood as you pass.
So this is kind of a fucking shit show.
I think it's intriguing. If I hadn't just watched Lasher pull his own bones out of his skin into his face, I would be much more disturbed.
Yeah, no, that we've kind of already seen that in person. Wow, this is a lot.
So
Lex, you
talented.
look good.
Thank you. So do you. You all look delightful.
How can you recognize us? We're wearing masks.
Oh, right.
Funny.
Are there?
What's the plan? Marius, I know you got some shit going on, so I don't want to step on any toes. You tell me what you need, and I got you. I do owe you. So.
Oh, well, that's perfect. If I can just get a big round of camaraderie, we all seem so fantastic and lively and great to be in the ivory tower. I need
Marius,
to these people. Yes.
no, Vern is right. Whatever you need.
Yes.
I know this is important to you.
It would mean a lot to me. I've been playing with scraps the entire time. I know we have another bigger mission to accomplish, but if I can just have this one win.
Then
I
tell
might
us how we can help. Surely between the four of us plus whatever you've got, we can coordinate things.
I think I might have an idea to help with at least one of your things.
Please, I'm all ears.
The sisters of Salem are supposed to be here, right?
Yes, they are. Formally,
Yeah.
now it's inclusive.
Oh, are they really?
Yes,
Oh, well, good for them.
progress.
Look, they know who I am. They know that I'm attached to the once and future king. They were enemies. If you dunk on me really fucking big in front of them, you're gonna earn points.
Look, I don't enjoy it on a good day, so I don't know why that would convince anyone otherwise.
I mean, make a good show of it. I mean, make me bleed. That's what I'm talking about.
Counter argument, to go with what Marius said about us showing some lively camaraderie. What if in front of the sisters, Marius showed how she pulled you away from the once and future king?
I do like that. And there's you, Arthur. I really appreciate you being here.
I wouldn't miss a party.
Well, they're staunchly anarch, and I can just go, look at my coterie. We get along so well. We have an anarch in our ranks.
I'm not exactly an anarch, but we can. I understand.
What are you?
You did kind of just crown a baron. I mean, if that doesn't make you an anarch, what does?
Oh, is that
No
what
offense. Yeah, we already talked about this. You were there.
I'm still a part of the Camarilla. But as I said, there, same as here, and at the dinner, same as here. I'm for the city first and foremost.
Well, thank you. I think that is a great reassurance.
But yes, if you'd like me to play nice with some out-of-town anarchs, I can pull some weight. I'm sure that I can come up with something.
Before we go to our break, as the crowds here begin filling up, And there might be kindred here that you just can't see now, as there's quite a few. Ezra and Azaria make their way onto the dance floor, and people part for them. The servitors sort of usher people away, especially the ones that have blades for hands. Now, when I say blades, they're quite dull. They're sort of like, almost like having butter knives for hands, right? They sort of usher people away so that it makes a circle, and Ezra leads Azaria out onto the dance floor, and it's just like that night in Quentin's court. So similar to the night where the two of you won King of Love and Beauty in the last Court of Love and Beauty, which is the name of the event that Quentin used to throw every year. And I need the two of you to make me dexterity and performance rolls, please, as you take your dance.
I will be rousing blood for this. I get hungrier.
And of course, Arthur, when you first met Ezra and Azaria, you knew them, you knew their name, or you couldn't quite place where you'd seen them before, but now you remember. Now you remember. And you remember why Vern kept calling them the King of Love and Beauty and the Queen of Love and Beauty. Yeah, you remember this now. You weren't there, but you definitely heard about this in great detail from the people who were, especially the Toreador. They ate this shit up.
She'll say, I'll lead. That's what you always want, isn't it? And I have 8 successes.
Mm-hmm.
7 successes.
Yeah, for a total of 15, yeah, I think that's a pretty good amount of successes. You are the winners after all. And they take to the floor, and the monstrosities that Azaria painstakingly, for a very long time, have created these creatures begin playing a rowdy tune, and it is exactly the tune, Vern, that they won to before. And I need an intelligence and awareness roll. I'm so sorry.
I have said now on multiple games, this is my new most hated pool. Alright. I did increase my intelligence, though. So, let's see what that does for me. Crit +1, 5.
5 successes. Yeah. Memories of this night start flooding back to you as Azaria and Ezra start moving along the dance floor, fluid, perfectly in step with each other. It's like no one else is here but them. You remember that night really vividly because that was the night you had to scrape that Nosferatu off of the cement, because one of Quentin's tests was to have them walk along tightrope to each other through the buildings of 200 Clarendon, the John Hancock Tower at the time. Nosferatu fell to their undeath, to their final death. You had to scrape them off of the cement. You watched other kindred die other horrible ways that night, boiled in acid. It was horrendous that these two won, and yet they seem to have no trauma related to that night at all. They seem to relish in it, celebrate it. And Celeste, as you watch your sire and your stepmother, let's call her, take to the dance floor, a voice in your mind presses into your mind. My dear Guinevere, it should be us on that floor, you and I. I hate to hear the way my dear Ezra speaks to you. If you tell him the good king misses him and kiss him for me, I'm sure your night will improve. And then it cuts.
She smirks. And
that is where we will take our break. So we are all here. We're back from our break. We're at the Samisi party that's occurring. The Tremere will be arriving soon for their talks of forming the new chantry, the new New England chantry here in Boston. And Azaria and Ezra have just done their little turn on the catwalk, their little dance on the dance floor. Now, Azaria, you see someone that you haven't seen in quite a long time. And it is Caval, the dog of Quentin King. Now, of course, you have a particular hatred for Quentin King, as you and I know anyway. So it's odd to see him here. You would have assumed that he would have gone off with Quentin to the Beckoning. But here he is, wearing motor oil on his face with his tits out in your house.
It's at least interesting enough or intriguing enough to walk up to them to indeed hear why they are here, how they are still here, more specifically, because it's curious that he didn't go with to the Beckoning.
So you're going to make your way over to Vern. Arthur, you're sitting at 2 hunger. Would you like to go feed? Is there anyone that you'd like to speak to, or would you like to have a dance?
No to all of them. I haven't seen anybody that I specifically need to speak to. At this point, I want to be sort of available for whatever it is that Marius needs Arthur to do with these premier coming from in town. But if there's somebody that jumps out, or if I make a roll to spot somebody
Sure.
of interest,
So you
then
don't
I'll
want to
pursue
feed, is that correct?
There's something Arthur is masking it, but there's a level of distrust at what's going on here at the moment.
Sure. You can make me a wits and awareness roll.
Mm-hmm.
Brienne, you're looking around at the grotesque scene before you, and I believe, Marius, you wanted to ask Brienne for a dance. Is that correct?
It is a simple hands out. Possibly a smart.
There's a small chuckle, but Brainy will put her hand in Marius's.
And I need a dexterity and performance roll from both of you.
Oh, gotta.
What I think is a good idea.
Celeste, you are still at 1 hunger, is that correct?
I am.
Now I need to know, what is it that Celeste would like to do here? Would she mingle? Would she seek someone out to dance? Would she stay close to her sire?
I think Celeste is kind of waiting for the Tremere to arrive. Kind of checking the door, because she wants to send Olvido to listen to them.
Certainly. Can you also make me a wits and awareness roll, please?
Absolutely.
And Ezra, as you finish your dance with Azaria, and Azaria seems to have caught her eye, you see your sire sticking extremely close to the shadows. He's in no way, shape, or form mingling with everyone, and he's in fact pulled shadows up around him so that he is barely visible, but you see his eyes, and they are calling to you.
Forgive me, my love, I must leave you for now. Enjoy your party. We will rejoin you soon.
Be quick about it.
Always. I will kiss her hand before I leave.
She will do the power move of actually leaning in and kissing him like that.
Vern, you see Marius and Brienne move out onto the dance floor. You see Arthur start scanning the room. You see Celeste doing the same thing, and you are standing there. You might start scanning the room yourself, but that is when you feel a presence very close to you. And it is Azaria Durand is making her way right up to you. And could you make me a wits and awareness roll as she approaches you?
I sure can.
Could be worse. Could be intelligence and awareness.
Bestial. 0 successes.
So, how that's going to manifest here is, as Azaria approaches, the beast within you catches a scent that you haven't smelled in a very long time, and it's coming from this thing, this locket that's sort of around a belt around her waist, and you just bend down and start smelling it. It's very uncouth, and anyone who might be looking would be very put off by this display. So be glad the Tremere aren't here.
Oh. Caval.
What is that?
Necklace.
What's in
You
it?
seem
The
to like
smell.
sniffing it.
There's something in it. I know that smell.
All right. And what do you want to know about it? You want to keep sniffing it? I'm afraid I can't offer it to you. It's very precious to me.
I don't want it. I want to know what's in it.
A piece of bark.
Funny. It's good to see you again, Mr. Ron.
I'm sure those are pleasantries. It's
I don't say
curious
shit
to
I don't
see
mean.
you. It's curious to see you. Intriguing as well. I wouldn't expect you to still be around without the king.
You don't know. Fun.
Why don't you leave to the beckoning with him?
Why don't you think about it and get back to me on it?
I believe you're at my party, and it doesn't seem anyone's rushing to dance with you, so you'll have to indulge in my conversation for a little bit longer.
Whatever you want. You've been a great host.
Please partake at any moment you want. Why, or rather, how is it that you managed to slip free? We all thought he had a tight leash on you.
I bet if you ask Mr. Contreras, he'll be able to tell you.
I'm not asking him, dearest. I'm asking you. And I think the story you can give me is much more interesting and actually personal than any he could ever give me.
A little bit of bad motion in the lover's nest.
I simply admire when I see someone breaking their change. And I'm wondering if you broke yours. Or if there's still something left there.
I guess we'll have to keep talking and you'll have to find out. I don't give stuff away for free. Now, if we want to talk a bargain, I could be persuaded.
You seem very interested in my necklace. How about I give you a little expose on that? And you actually start answering my questions before I have to ask a third time. I really don't like that. Although I'm very intrigued.
You know, I forgot for a long time that I was on Soleil. You're not going to be able to bully me like you bully these kids running around here, Azaria. I like you. I liked you back then. But if it's not mutually equitable, I don't want some story about a fucking necklace. I want a favor.
So a favor to your coterie that you still hold and you can still in at any time isn't enough?
No, a favor for me. That's what I want.
Sure. You can have one. I'm feeling generous tonight.
Let's say of the minor variety. I don't need anything big.
Anytime you need anything, you can come knocking on these doors.
Now, can I trust you to acknowledge that to the Herald? Or do I have to do it myself?
I'm a primogen. I almost feel hurt that you would say that, Gaval.
Well, you know, people have a bad tendency of operating on bad faith when they think they're, bargaining with an animal. But again, I like you, so I just want to know: do I need to, approach Miss McAndrews myself, or would you like to? Either way, I'm happy to do it. If you have other things that need to occupy your time.
It's almost laughable, Azari, that he thinks Hilda McAndrews is the Herald and not April Bosley. He's so out of his element, and it's all bravado.
I'll be sure to approach the right herald myself. Now, do you still want to be called that, Gaval?
That's a name like any other. I don't It doesn't bother
That's
me.
not my question. No, is it?
I don't have a preference, Zarya. People can call me what they want. The only thing that matters to me is what I call myself.
And do you call yourself something different than back then?
Sometimes. Not recently, though. I mean, I've had to go by Koval the last few nights pretty heavy.
Did you discover something new? Do you like more?
Like I said, it's hard for me to answer that because I am not sure ever, really. I went decades without being able to have a preference. So, sometimes our chains get comfortable and we keep the ones around that we like and we break the ones that we don't.
Surely, now that you've broken free, there must be some kind of desire to reinvent instead of staying in the chains.
I find reinventing yourself to be a fruitless task when you're this low on the totem pole. Without any aspirations of getting higher, let me be very clear. I'm comfortable where I'm at. I know what I'm about, and I go about it.
I'm not speaking about Camarilla positions. I'm speaking about you as a person and as a kindred.
It's funny that you mentioned that because there is one thing that has given me just a little bit of curiosity over the last little while. And, Lasher's a bright kid. I really like him. Potential, is really there. He's an artist. Truly. You should be proud of him. Is he one of yours or one of yours is yours? You know what I mean?
I think whether or not I should be proud of him, we'll see in the many nights to come.
Sure.
But I'll
Sure.
keep your words about him in mind, seeing as I have my own rather positive opinions about you. Perhaps I will value the words you just said.
I gotta give it to you, Zarya. The dueling Quentin thing, it was set magic. Honestly, I've seen a lot of shit in my day, and that was impressive.
A shame the coward ran away.
Die? Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. The fact that no one died as a result, it's impressive. It's something to write home about.
No, it really isn't. It's a job unfinished.
You got designs on finishing it?
As far as I know, he ran after the beckoning, yet you standing right here in front of me.
Yeah.
Would suggest that there are other things going on.
It certainly would suggest that, wouldn't it? You really hate him, huh? It's not just a joke to you. I can see it. I know when someone hates. I can smell it. Why?
See,
what did he do to you that made you hate him so much?
I've bested a lot of kindred in my times. Some take it with grace, others don't. And they fall. They won't live up to their potential. It happens a lot, honestly.
Yeah.
But a king falling and not laying his head on the chopping block because he sees that he is not worthy to be a king. I've seen real
Interesting.
kings.
And yet you still played his game. Curious. But hey, that's neither here nor there. I don't want to get into your personal shit. You know, you've got a lot going on. You've got this whole fucking party to entertain. You know, those things you made, they look pretty good. You know, the little fingers. It's pretty neat.
Thank you. I do admire my own work as well. Please feel free to indulge as well.
Infernal lean in. If you're really interested in this Quentin thing, you should ask your mate's child about Guinevere.
It was actually refreshing to see you tonight, Kaval.
Like I
And I'm
said, it's
sure-
always a pleasure.
I'm very curious to see where you'll go from here. How you'll reinvent yourself when you think you're worthy of reinventing yourself. That's what we have. We have time for it, don't we?
Some of us more than others.
If you need help breaking those last chains, again, a knock at the door and all it takes is that.
I would be remiss not to note it duly and triply.
Please, dance with someone. You look lonely. She turns around and starts walking away.
And Vern, you can spot Shufang if you'd like to approach them.
course.
However, we're going to move over to Arthur. What did you roll for me, Arthur?
So I rolled 2 successes, but I had an idea for something to do during the course of conversation.
Mhm.
If you want to tell me what I see on 2 successes, you can, or I can divert into the thought that I had.
What you see on 2 successes is you see that the sheriff has arrived. He is not wearing a mask.
I'm going to make a note of that, but also I want to take a quick look around. I'm assuming that all of these things are happening simultaneously.
For the
So
most
can
part.
I see that Azaria is talking to Vern and
Yes.
Ezra has gone off somewhere, is talking to someone, even if I can't see who he is?
Yes.
Great. I'm going to come back to that sheriff bit. But as I look around, I see that, and I look around and I see that, I'm going to turn to Celeste and just go, how do you feel about a dance?
I'm not opposed to one. Are you offering?
I'll hold a hand out.
I'll take it.
If
I'll
you
move to the
two,
floor.
if you two are going to dance, Celeste, can I have your
Yes.
wits and awareness roll, please?
4.
With 4 successes, you see someone who's here who shouldn't be here. You see Saris and that man who helped you get the ghost of Sarah Milton, Echo Asher, are here. Saris is dressed in a white, almost ballerina-style dress and a almost white peacock mask. And they are dancing. You don't know why they're here. They were not invited, you know that for sure.
Oh, okay. I will put a pin in that. I will definitely circle back to that.
All right, dexterity and performance for my Bruja and my La Sombra. Brienne and Marius, your rolls, please.
With the blood buff and a willpower, a whopping sexy 2.
2. All right. about
I
you, Brittany?
also blood buffed. Did not get hungrier, but that is 6 successes.
Yep. So, Brienne, you are having to lead here because it's very obvious that Marius, and to circle back to something, Marius attempted to dance with Lasher a few episodes ago and also did incredibly poorly. So this is a pattern now. So you have to lead. Marius has no idea how to dance. Not in this way, not in a ballroom setting.
Don't look at your feet, dear.
If I don't, where will they go?
Wait, maid.
I mean, I have rhythm, but I can't dance. That's not obvious.
You seem to be doing your best, to be fair. Most people don't, waltz anymore.
Well, consider me old school, or I don't know, what do people do? I don't know anything. I was never a dancer in, like, life. Any music I just had in my ears never was like I am talking way too much. You are an incredible dancer.
Thank you. It was, part of my extensive education even before my unlife.
Really?
Hmm.
So what was it like your dances in life?
Ballet, jazz, even a little bit of tap.
How old are you?
By our standards, still quite young. I did a lot growing up.
Oh, okay. I just kind of fell into things, and it's been a mess. But I'm alive, so I can't complain.
So to speak.
Yes, it's very much turn of phrase. While I do have you trapped in this rhythmic social obligation, I do have a question.
I probably have an answer.
Oh, that's good. You and Fern, Ivan. What is that?
What is what?
Two of you. Are we coterie mates? I still remember the little joint vision quest you went on back in the ruins.
When the SI hit, Beryl was dragged out of the Red Salon. And I saw it happen. And for one truly ridiculous moment, I thought to step in and try and help him. And Vern found me. Kept me from meeting my final death.
I see where that could breed fondness. I just, as your coterie mate, don't
what, Mari?
just think about everyone's lives that's ever been ruined by being in any proximity of him.
Jeez Louise. He kept me from meeting the final death at the hands of the SI, and has quite literally watched my back ever since, with little to no expectation of reciprocity.
Good. I hope you both can keep it that way.
How's Junebug?
She's working herself to final death, and I hate it.
What does she need?
I don't know. I wish she genuinely needs to rest, but I can't tell her anything. There and last year too, they're so headstrong, and it's admirable and tiring at the same time.
I can see why you like them both.
Well, they both met me in same time, different places. They were kindred long before I was even embraced, and I just happened to be tangled up, and we all just made it a thing afterwards. You know, when I joined the club.
It's... Marius, I don't ask to be facetious, but do you truly care for them both?
I do. I genuinely do. I've made some really stupid mistakes because I wanted them safe. And I don't like that Lasher is here. But I was influenced. And then there was the invitation. And I wouldn't dream or nightmare of what the third ring could have been. You saw what happened with Junebug and the other Anarchs, so...
Yeah. Do you want me to try and get him out? I can call my driver, have him come by.
No, because I don't want... As long as we have a collective eye on them, it should be fine.
Okay.
But
That changes. Just say the word.
Okay.
As the two of you continue dancing, as I said, Brady having to lead. Arthur and Celeste, your roles, please.
5.
Crit +1 for 5.
All right, so both of you, no one's really leading. Both of you are sort of in step with each other, very in sync. Celeste is definitely a skilled dancer. You would get the impression, Arthur, that whatever she did in life, she definitely spent time in places like this. Maybe not quite so monstrous. And Arthur, too, is no slouch. So it's surprising. You don't meet a lot of Americans who can, ballroom dance as well as you can. But any conversation you'd like to have out on the floor, you may have it now.
Thank you for indulging me. I figured that this would be a good moment, a good spot for a conversation and to get a good viewpoint on our surroundings. For example, when prying eyes may be otherwise occupied.
Absolutely, I agree. Also, did you notice that Sarah's walked in? I say that low, under my breath.
Oh, I did not. That is something to address shortly.
Yes.
But in the meantime, while there's not an absolute ruckus over it, I wanted to talk a bit about you.
What about me?
Well, you're still a bit of an enigma, aren't you? You've joined up with the coterie at Ezra's behest, which perfectly fine for it. You've been a wonderful help, but well, we just spent all this time talking about wants and needs. What exactly is it that you want, Celeste?
She would pause, well, still dancing, and consider her words before saying, kind of not looking Arthur in the eye, almost kind of looking off. I want his downfall.
And that's the first upfront thing I've heard you say. Now, I'm under the impression that you're with us for some level of a power play.
Yes, that was the idea.
Would it help you in any capacity to show some advancement in said power play?
Oh, it would, but I'm sure he'd find a way to twist it to not be good enough for his standards.
Oh, I'm certain, though. From what I understand, my reputation tends to carry itself in the city. So if there's a way that you can convince your old dad that maybe you have Arthur Zebulon a little bit more wrapped around your finger than the others, perhaps it can be it can bring some level of a smile to his otherwise dour face.
It'd be a sight to see for sure. Is there something you expect in return?
Not particularly, no.
How is your Go on.
No, I was just going to say I don't typically like not knowing what the people around me are doing, and that's more than enough.
Fair enough. It's just a matter of figuring out how to convince him of that.
We'll figure that out in a moment. Was there something that you were about to ask me before I go check on what I saw a little bit ago?
Yes, I was going to ask, how is the woman we helped you seem so fond of? Her memory.
Peggy, I haven't really gone to check, but I understand that she's doing better, best as she can.
I see.
Though
Did
perhaps
you-
if in terms of what I might expect, if we find the people that did this, I would love as much of a helping hand as the rest of us are going to be chipping in regards to that.
Yes, I'm interested to meet these Sabbat you've all spoken of.
Hopefully it'll be a briefer introduction than previously.
I'm sure it will be.
And Arthur is going to. I'm going to make a point to this, because Arthur's keeping watch. So the moment that either Azaria or Ezra are done with whatever they are doing, and if they look out to the dance floor, Arthur will stop the dance and make a particular show, stepping back and very formal kiss of Celeste's hand on top of the hand, smile and depart, just to and plant an immediate seed before leaving to go chase down the sheriff.
You're not going to be able to chase down the sheriff because you chose to dance with Celeste, because the sheriff is going to approach Briony, but we're going to get to that in a minute.
Excellent.
Ezra, you walk over to your sire, Tally, as he is sort of hanging in the shadows. He has one of these Schlachta with him, the one that pours blood, and he's oddly letting this creature pour the blood directly into his mouth. He seems quite at ease with it. And then it dawns on you, of course, as you were once member of the Sabbat, Tally, a member of the Sabbat long before you, would probably have experienced this quite a few times.
You seem quite at home.
Well, it's just like the good old days, except they weren't that good.
Rose-colored glasses.
I suppose you could call it that. So, I'm here. I made the long trek, brought you a gift at your request. And so now I think it's time, old man, to give me a report of what the hell you're doing here in this broken, desolate city, and not with me in Chicago and the rest of the Amici Noctis.
Where you see a broken city, I see potential. I see a place ripe for the taking. I see a power vacuum waiting to be filled.
Excellent. And you've decided to take the route of Primogen, is it?
One of the many steps. But yes.
Too many eyes on a Primogen. I would have picked someone else, but definitely not your girl. You see the shadows moving around him. He's using it to listen in on the party. She's planning your downfall, which can't fault her for that. I would probably do the same thing.
I expected as much. I have encouraged as much. She cannot stand on her own unless she views me as an enemy.
He places his hand right and his thumb right into the crook of your clavicle. It's where he used to put it when you were still a mortal in his school, when he used to make you beg on the street and fight bare-knuckled for money, broke you down in every imaginable way. You see, you're a Primogen. You hold power in this broken city. And yet I hear that the prince is not here. And yet I see that the sheriff arrives unmasked, not willing to be part of this party. It's a facade, my boy. You have done nothing.
Where you see a lack of a prince, I see one that might be in the making. And I will cast my eyes very quickly over Azaria.
And he sort of chuckles and leans back against the wall. You're making the Archbishop a prince. Interesting choice, my boy.
Everything is playing as I have designed.
You know, you never were that good at, aesthetic. I see you had to have her make your mask.
A show of good faith.
I'm going back to Chicago. Not tonight, and not tomorrow night. If you decide to do the logical thing and return with me, leave your child here for the wolves, you know where to find me.
You have always underestimated me. And thus I expect nothing less for you to underestimate my progeny.
Always underestimated you, Ezra, because you have never, ever, ever met my expectations. The shadows gather around him, and he moves himself up against the wall again. Very Nosferatu-like. Turns the corner away from your sight.
I'll be seeing you, Telly. I think Ezra takes a moment to collect himself, even if just for a few seconds before he does, but yes.
Now, Vern, you wanted to grab onto Shufang, is that correct?
Indeed.
She is speaking with someone you don't know, but she can hear her. She's calling him Joey. He's bald. He's very short. He's has a, I always heard it was called, it's like a crown of thorns tattooed around his forehead. And she's sort of like berating him and telling him he's wearing just a very simple cloth mask. It looks almost like a Mask of Zorro mask, and she's berating him for having chosen that. Where she's wearing something much more intricate. She's wearing something that looks like maybe Athena or some sort of Greek goddess as her mask. That's just cut to the nose. And she sees you approaching, and she sort of makes this face. Can I help you?
Hey, show. Long time no see.
I could have gone longer. What do you want?
To talk if you're amenable, a dance if you're not.
I don't really enjoy spending time with the... What are you called? What was it that Caleb called you? Panders?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was one. Here's the thing. I actually wanted to talk to you about your late sire, if you wouldn't mind.
That hardly seems appropriate for this party.
Well, then maybe we should dance. I mean, it's Elysium. Come on.
Charisma and persuasion. I don't know why you want to talk to Shufang. She fucking hates everyone, including you.
Crazy. Messy crit for 4 on 2 dice.
Same messy crit, though, for 5. She sort of cracks her neck. I'm really hungry. You know, I thought there would be different kind of refreshments here. I really don't know if there's anything I can eat here, but come with me over to the walking buffet tables, say what you have to say, and make it very quick.
Yeah, you got it.
And your messy critical, Vern, increase your hunger, please.
Sitting at 3 as they walk, Vernal just kind of lean over. You know, I remember seeing you the last night you were immortal. You were so mousy.
She takes a goblet from one of these strange creatures and hands one to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you really shouldn't have been at 200 Clarendon the night that I was embraced. You really should have been off at the Black Site with Caleb, but...
Yeah, you know, see, that's where my timeline gets a little fuzzy, Shu.
As far as I remember, you were puppy dog walking yourself because Jara died and you were crying.
Yeah, you know, that is what happened. However, you know, not worried about that. I'm a little bit fuzzy on the timeline. See, I know where Caleb was that night. I ran into him on the street after he left some fucking brick banker's apartment. And he didn't say a damn thing to me about embracing you. But you know who was there at 200 Clared and almost all night? Shufang. And he'll lean in. Beryl fucking Underwood.
Make me wits and insight.
If you would like, before then,
Mm-hmm.
may I roll a charisma and intimidation?
You may. It will remove yourself down to 2 hunger. You may, but she's gonna roll her composure and resolve.
I would like to
1 hunger as well.
rouse the blood.
You may.
I will not get hungry. 7 successes critical.
She rolled 8. She downs her goblet and hands it to you, completely empty. I don't know who the hell you've been talking to. I don't know what the hell you're trying to achieve. If I see you in my face again, I'll send Delson after you.
Okay. But just so you're aware,
Do you take
the only person I've been talking to is you.
Do you take the goblet that she hands you?
Yeah.
She walks away.
Does it have any of her, like, lipstick or anything on it?
Yes.
Great. Vern will reach into the pocket of his vest, pull out the pocket square, and wrap it. And he's just going to kind of hold on to that for a minute.
The spindly creature with those pouring blood out of their mouth is sort of holding out one of their arms and just waiting to take the goblet back from you, sort of going like this at you, just waiting.
Yeah, he'll hand his used goblet back to it.
Mm-hmm.
And just watching her walk away, I would like to use Sense the Beast. Vern wants to see if he rattled her or not.
You may make me a resolve an animalism roll. However, you're in a room full of Kindred and Schlachta. That is going to be an exceptionally difficult roll.
Yeah.
The DC is 10. To pick her out specifically.
Three. No.
Yeah. No, there's no way. There's no way. You pick up varying emotions, mostly Kindred. Azaria, you've left Vern, and you are making your way over to Celeste when Ezra intercepts you. You may have a moment between the two of you before Azaria sort of snipes Celeste away.
How did you find Kaval?
3-year than he was before.
Is it right?
Fascinating, isn't it? The way he's walking around now without Quentin.
It's interesting to see him without a leash, yes.
What's more interesting is what that says about Quentin's situation, and that we might not know everything we should know.
We are in the perfect place to discover everything we need to know.
So is that you promising to me that by the end of the night we'll know everything we need to know about Quentin?
By the end of tonight, Quentin will no longer be a worry. We'll have a plan to deal with him.
Talk about all of my worries. I'm not worried. I want him down. I want him dead. I want him disgraced.
Have I not given you enough gifts already, my love? Would you ask more of me?
Like you would settle for anyone who would stop asking at a certain point. I'll always keep asking more. And you'll have to keep giving more. Because if you don't, that's going to be an issue now, isn't it?
He will lean in and brush her bottom lip with his and say, all you ever need to do is ask. I will give you all of your gifts. But I do require that you ask.
Then let's go ask your little progeny what she knows about Guinevere.
As the two of you then change course and go to Celeste, you see Arthur, having just finished a dance with her, doing a very broad kiss gesture to her, and Celeste, you are suddenly being flanked by the Semitsi and Lasombre Primogen. However, Arthur, as you do the grand gesture move away, you start looking for Delsin. You see Delsin is approaching Briony. And as you whip your head around, you see Delsin. You see someone standing next to Delsin, who's staring right at you. It's a woman with hair, dark brown hair pulled back. She's wearing a very plain outfit. She's really not dressed for the masquerade ball, and it looks like she has taken a cloth napkin and cut eye holes in it and haphazardly has done this on the fly, maybe not aware that this was a masquerade ball. She's in cargo pants and sort of a suede vest, and she's making eyes at you, and of course you recognize her immediately, even with the mask on. This is Sarah Rains.
Very large grin just breaks across Arthur's face as he just drifts attention away from Delsin to her and will head towards her.
You head towards her, and she sort of loops her arm into yours, which is very unlike her. But she's trying to play it up here for the crowd. And she says, "It's so nice to see you, Arthur. I was called here by our mutual friend to assess the situation, but I see that everyone is just partying."
Sarah, it's such a delight to have you here in such an unexpected locale.
Well, yes. I wanted to... Theo sent me here. He said that the Anarchs are waging war, but this does not look like war.
No, they're not. Not so loud. I feel the need for a smoke. You care to join me?
Absolutely. And she just lights up right here. Arthur, what is going on in the city of Boston?
A lot. We've got power plays galore within the Camarilla as the old king is making moves from wherever the hell he's buried to try to come back, and everybody else is trying their hardest to...
Stop talking. The old king.
Quentin.
He's gone to the beckoning.
Then he's got a very potent broadcast from overseas where we can all hear him here.
Arthur, I know that Theo enjoys your wordplay. I am no brouhaha. Speak to me plain and speak to me quick.
He's in all of our heads communicating to us, pushing his plans. If he can do that from overseas, then he's at the beckoning. Otherwise, he's right here in the city, which is the more logical conclusion.
I'll have to speak to Theo about this.
Yes, I think you should. The Anarchs are fine. We drove out the old Baron who was making a real mess of things, and Saul is currently taking command.
Why were the Anarchs making mess of things?
No, not the Anarchs. The Baron was making mess of things. He was on an absolute tirade, revenge path over how the Camarilla treated him, which understandably so. I'm no fan of how things went, but he was going to just cause more damage long term.
To get Theo here.
That was the plan. Like I said, Saul's in charge now.
Is that everything?
Oh, what else? It's up in the air whether or not I'm connected to a group that's going to instigate a coup, but we'll get there when we get there.
That is of no consequence to me.
Exactly. Well, I mean, it might be if we replace who's the prince and I'm connected to them. Might ease relations a bit, but beyond that, yeah,
Arthur, it is your choice to stay here in the Ivory Tower. You know Theo isn't happy about it, but it is your choice. He would much rather that you join us. Right now we are fighting in Tallahassee.
Sarah, I understand, but I'm a local boy through and through, and quite frankly, this city needs it. It's limping along after what happened, and there is a vulture circling us in the form of the Sabbat and more, trying to peck away at it. So, if I can help fight back here, then I'm going to do it. And if I can use the resources of the Ivory Tower to protect this goddamn city, then I'm going to hang around a bit longer and make everybody happy. Trust me, I had half a mind to take the barony for myself before Saul stepped up.
Shame you did not.
Well, we'll see how Saul does.
I have to tell Theo about all of this. You know he and Quentin were great allies.
I know. I wouldn't have told you if I didn't think you were going to tell him.
My final question, and I'll let you get back to your masquerade. The man over there, and she points to Vern. How long do you know him? How long have you known him? I know you know everyone.
Basically since my embrace, so we're going on 10 years now?
Has he been in the city a long time?
Longer than me.
Thank you, Arthur. When more news comes, either I or Associate will get back to you. Sorry, not all of us are on the radio waves.
Well, feel free to call in anytime you want to, Sarah. My home's yours, though it's a little bit occupied at the moment.
She backs up and away from you, into the crowd. Brianny, you and Marius are dancing. And Marius, you see Delson Coates, the gangrel sheriff of the Camarilla, approach you. And he says, I don't mean to be rude, but I would very much like a dance with the new emissary, if that's all right. You're muted, honey.
Oh.
Oh, by all means, please. And they depart.
Not to sound rude, Marius, but you might want to remind your sire that they are in Elysium and screaming at the top of their lungs about the prince doesn't look good.
Of course, I could say something to him.
It's up to you.
Oh, my head's still on my shoulders. What's the worst that can happen?
Delson cuts in. Would you make another dexterity and performance roll? I need to make one for him. It's dog dump. It's a dog dump roll. Somehow I rolled 3 successes on a dog dump roll.
4 successes.
Yeah. I mean, Delson's at least a better ballroom dancer than Marius, and you're a little less enthused about this, though, so the dancing isn't quite as fun or flowing as it was with Marius. But he leans in very closely to you as he dances. He smells musky. Not necessarily a pleasant smell. Miss Perkins, the prince has asked me to come here to find out where Richard is. Your time is up.
We have a location. It's just a matter of extraction.
The location, Miss Perkins, if you please.
The Church of the Open Bible. They are... We have reason to believe they're hunters, sir.
And where did you get this information that Richard is there? Did you see them take him? Did you see him inside?
We got eyes on him, yes.
And it is a certainty that he is there.
Unless they have moved him.
So, why are you here?
Because their leader has true faith.
You spoke to their leader, and yet here you stand?
With a full congregation, with God knows how many mortals in service, trying to extract him would have been a true and epic breach of the Masquerade.
Am I to understand that you had the dog in your company and you did not simply unleash him on these fools? Take your prize and leave him there? His voice gets loud, and Vern, you hear him say dog. And you may intercede.
Vern will step right up to him, chest to chest, and be like, if you have something to fucking say, you say it to me, you fucking scumbag.
And Delson will reach out to grab you by the throat.
I'm gonna punch him in the solar plexus.
Well, you need to get out of his grasp. You have fleetness, right?
I do.
He also has fleetness. So we'll see who's faster.
What pool would you like me to roll here?
Dexterity athletics.
With celerity? Or no?
Yeah, add your dots and celerity. That's what I was just doing. Not the solar plexus. You guys are so goofy. It's
Right in the diaphragm.
So it's like, help! Someone help me! Oh,
11
spend
successes.
a willpower for him. That's not going to meet it. 10. So you dodge out of his way of his hand reaching out for your throat. You hit him right in the solar plexus.
Yeah, and I would like to use potence.
So make me strength and brawl. Add your dots and potence. He has rapid reflexes. And with that margin, it wasn't quite enough to do any damage to him. Vern.
And then an extra die for
God, I'm spending a lot of
brawling
willpower
with Kindred.
I'm putting a lot of willpower for the sheriff tonight. This one was worth it though. The sheriff kind of sucks. Brienne, what are you doing as Vern and the sheriff are brawling? What are you doing?
I would like to spend a willpower if I can. Really quick. Sorry.
I'm stepping out of the way.
You're just stepping. Okay.
Stepping back. 2 or 3 big old steps.
Can you rate
back.
me a wits and awareness?
Yeah.
Roll high, please, if you can. If it is like, I love Vampire the Masquerade game, political persona. What is your roll?
Huddy, I'm in a new scene, yes?
No. These whole 2 sessions are same scene. We are keeping the scene because we ain't live. This is all bottleneck. We ain't leaving.
You know what? That's fair. I'm gonna re-roll because that was horseshit.
After spending willpower, I'm looking at 12 successes, messy crit.
13 successes. So you go to hit him in the solar plexus. He dodges right out of the way. Brienne, what is that roll?
5 successes.
Increase your hunger, Vern. 5 successes is enough. You see one of these sentinels with the massive broadsword fused to their forearms begin stepping forward.
Gentlemen, you're gathering attention. And I will nod to the sentinel.
Vern?
Vern is going to stay on guard, but give a moment of pause before any other actions are taken.
And Delson says, your final death is coming, dog. This was the last straw.
You won't be around to see it, Deli.
And he sort of snorts at you. And he begins walking away towards the front, away from everyone else. If you want a moment with Brienne, now's the time to take it.
You okay?
No.
want to tell me about it? And I'll hold his hand out.
Green will take his hand.
I can't dance for shit.
Well, then let me lead.
Anything for you.
Shut up, man.
Stop it.
All right, so is my understanding that you two are going out on the dance floor?
Yes.
Okay, Brianny's just fucking living up on the dance floor. Marius, you you head back to Dijon, and apparently he's not alone. He's just he's screaming, but he's screaming at someone, and you don't know this person. They're wearing they're wearing white sunglasses, a purple ascot. They also have white hair, which is up in Bantu knots. They look, your sire always dresses eccentrically, right? He's always wearing a Tribbley hat and always wearing a bow tie. And he also seems to be dressed eccentrically. And you can clock that this must be his broodmate. This must be Deneb Osborne, the leader of the Hartford Chantry. You didn't even see him come in. And he and Dijon are yelling at each other. They're yelling at each other like siblings. And Deneb is saying, you couldn't even get the prince to come to your party. I mean, what are we doing, Dijon? What are we doing? And I mean, look at this place. These monstrosities. You couldn't even hold it in your own domain. You do not tell me you are still living at that college. And Dijon, if his neck could grow red, he is so irritated. He's putting on the absolute worst presentation of what the Tremere are capable of in Boston that you could even imagine, Marius.
I'm gonna wedge myself in between them like a tacky fashion cookie.
Yeah.
Like hands placed very gently on both of their shoulders. Good evening, gentlemen. Am I interrupting something?
And Dijon sort of just waves his hand and spins around. You've seen him make this move a million times, except this time he's not cracking his hand into the wall. But Deneb turns around with a big smile on his face. You can't see his eyes because he's wearing these big white sunglasses. And he says, And who are you? I mean, this room is just positively full of Samitsi monsters. I have no idea who any of these people are, and Dijon is a terrible host, as always.
Oh, he's very, very excited, and it seems to radiate in different ways. I'm his childer, Marius Weiss, Toreador Clanwith.
Oh, I thought you were the one who died. That was Imani. Hi, I'm Deneb.
Rest in peace.
Sure.
The pleasure is all mine, sir.
High Regent of the Hartford Chantry.
An honor, truly.
I wasn't aware that I should bring an entourage. I really thought this was going to be something small and just for the Tremere. Dijon is absolutely horrible at planning a party, it seems. Seems he has to have someone else do it. A Samitsi, no less, these modern nights.
No, this all just happened to fall at the right moment. Unfortunately, we had no choice in venue, but I do enjoy the pleasantness of it all.
He sits down on one of these conference tables. Well, since Madeline is deciding to be exceptionally fashionably late, typical for an anarch, tell me, Marius, what on earth does Boston have going for it that I should send several of my acolytes to help fill your empty, burned-out carcass of a chantry?
Well, if I were to be honest, I'll say nothing. But in nothing, I see possibility. Think of the history that can be made. Think of the accolades of tomorrow, seeds planted into freshly fertilized soil. Ashes can be nourishing, and I think that makes it a unique opportunity for all of us here to begin anew and be new, to tread where no Tremere has dared.
There is absolutely no way you are Dijon's child.
I get that a lot.
Far too eloquent, far too calm. I like you.
Thank you.
I think with you on my arm, I can brave the grotesque display out there on the dance floor.
Again, Would be absolutely honored, sir.
And he holds his arm out, and he sort of looks back at Dijon. Come on, Dijon. Stop pouting. My God. If Marie could see you now. And do you go out with him to the dance floor?
Yeah, but I'm looking for Lasher.
You haven't seen him. It's weird. Celeste, you have been flanked by your sire and your sire's paramour on the dance floor. And they seem to have, purpose in their eyes as they look at you and flank you.
I think before they say anything, Celeste her eyes would almost brighten. She said, "Oh, sire, I was actually going to approach you for a dance."
Fortuitous. I'll look to Azaria.
Go dance with your child.
I would allow all three of you to dance, or Azaria and Marius can do a duel off to find Lasher with a wits and awareness. I'll leave it up to you.
Oh, actually, let's do that. Sure. Because I already said go dance with your child. So
Okay,
he can
so
handle the topics we need to know.
Azaria and Marius, wits and awareness, and Celeste and Ezra, you may take your dance on the floor. Dexterity and performance from both of you, please.
Stop crying about it. Stop crying. Where's your lover, huh?
Not
awareness
Syrinx in real time turning into a demon.
Right?
Awareness end.
Y'all should see
Wits.
We love to see it.
I hate this game.
We love Vampire the Masquerade.
A game
Game
of
of personal and political horror.
Oh, I was thinking, should I spend willpower tonight? Look at how much willpower I have. Seven successes.
Okay. Did you say 7 successes?
Yes.
8 with a crit.
Wow. Marius, as you lead Deneb out onto the floor, you see Lasher. Lasher is over by one of these creatures pouring blood, and he is sticking his finger into its mouth over and over again and sort of messing with the flow of the blood going, and sort of he's sort of, and he's trying to, like, he wants to see exactly how it has been created, and he's sort of moving his hands that way, and you can absolutely intercept him. So that leaves, I'm going to have Azaria notice, instead with 7 successes, notice Arthur off to the side. Just smoked a cigarette, sort of hanging out away from everyone, sort of watching everyone. I'm going to give Arthur and Azaria a moment together, probably in the next episode, because I'm running out of time. But Ezra and Celeste, you may have your dance and your conversation now. What was your rolls, please?
4 successes.
Oh, you're good at dancing.
10 successes.
10 successes.
My
Yeah, I know, but I
God.
give a huge. Well, he has a huge performance pool. So obviously Ezra leads. Doesn't really let you keep up with him. He is basically tossing you around on this dance floor, and you may have that conversation now.
You were going to seek me out.
I was. So many
For what
questions.
purpose?
So many questions to ask. But first, I just wanted to say, I know you've been so curious about my progress with, how did you put it, controlling my coterie?
Something you failed to mention when you first showed up. I imagine you made no progress.
No progress? No, you see, the first night that I set out, well, Arthur had given his home to me. Free reign. Nothing expected in return. Since then, he's been very protective and attached. And I think having, what is he called, the voice of the people around like that could be useful.
How can you be sure that he's attached and not just looking at you like some stray pet he found on the street?
I've gotten to know him quite a bit. He's a genuine sort.
He's a showman.
There's always truth behind some of the show.
You have the ear of the voice of the people then. Good. What will you do with it?
Well, that's where my questions come, actually. I wanted to ask, what is it that you know about Quentin King?
I know that he was a decent enough prince in his time, and very fit for my own dealings. His demeanor made him easy to work with.
Can I insight? Is there more there?
Is there more there, Ezra?
I think that that's a pretty honest statement. I think that the only...
Because you and I
thing would
talked
be
about Quentin
hidden.
and Ezra's feelings about Quentin.
Yeah, I think that it is honest. I think that Celeste would know him well enough to know that when he says easy to work with, he means easy to manipulate.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So no insight required. He's telling the truth.
Interesting. She'll pause. Okay. Give Ezra a moment to respond to her saying interesting. To continue his thought.
Why this interest in the prince? This gone king?
He said he misses you.
Well, did you hear him? His caval, his little perito, passing along his messages.
Now, before I answer that, I have another question of my own.
Seems you have many questions tonight, Miss Ortega.
A lot of information to be gleaned, sire.
Speak.
Who is my replacement?
Does this trouble you so?
I simply want to know.
What is the information worth to you, Miss Ortega? Seeing as you're no longer in my care, we can do business like adults.
I tell you what I know about Quentin.
Everything.
Everything I know.
Her name is Sky.
Sky. And she is La Sombra.
With your considerable resources that you've gathered in your nights away, I think you should be able to find that out for yourself.
I did, I just wanted to hear you say it.
You asked me who. Now I've given you who. Now tell me what you know.
He called me Guinevere. And I'd like to stop, if allowed. I mean, you rolled a 10. And if allowed, I would stop and give him a kiss on the cheek. Say, that's all I know.
I think he would allow it. I think that one, Ezra's not on his best foot tonight with Tally in the interaction, and I think that in a very unique show of, or change of show, he might be a little bit impressed with Miss Ortega.
And unfortunately, because I would love to have this go on all night, for me, I think that is the best place to end this particular episode of the Masquerade Ball. But we will be back next week for the rest of the Masquerade Ball. Thank you everyone so much and for your beautiful makeup. So sorry you have to do it again.